All right, everyone, welcome back to our return to Borderlands 3. This is another part of our here in the handsome jackpot. Now we reached Timothy's lair, or it's a little safe house, and now we gotta go meet Ember in the Vice districts, and that's what our main goal we're gonna do. Shouldn't be too crazy, like I said. I did, I guess, well, I didn't get anything too crazy. I did get this dam, but I got this from the gun, and I did spend some of my little bit more money buying some more stuff. And we still I guess mark that for sale. So we don't need it. But I don't have anything else crazy. I mean, we're still using our main stuff. We still haven't used our carrier, and same with our lob, but we were mostly using this masher because it's pretty good. Same with our boomer, but our boomer is a little under leveled, so maybe we'll stick with our carrier since we're only 61. And the carrier is actually pretty good in terms of like the doll assault rifle, since there aren't that many. I mean, not doll, Atlas. Since Atlas doesn't have too many legendaries, aside of I guess from like the OPQ and the Rebel, yeah, which are like the two big ones. But it's basically, you're gonna pretty much carry it. It's basically just like a high fire rate, like assault rifle that shoots out those little homing projectiles, kind of like the free radical or a lot of those other. I think one of the is it cocky bastard or the unseen breath that also does that. But yeah, you can see it's pretty much insta killing everything. So, well, this is probably going to be our another main weapon we use. I also went and got the cartel quest from Maurice, so we can get more. The crypto of the Dakota ring basically to help us go back. But we still want to keep going, but maybe we won't show too much of Joey's if we want to mainly focus on the DLC. DLC is our main kind of content. But maybe in the during my break I'll go and do that and maybe get some other legendaries to help levels up. But we did get a legendary from Tenderizer. Maybe we got something good. We'll get that after we clear out. So once we clear all these enemies, Timothy's gonna come and basically do a little sequence where he opens up the doorway to the Vice District. It kind of gives us more exposition about Ember, about what he was doing during the time in between, kind of explaining what happened. Alright, now we can start talking. Let's see what we got. Anything good? I think it's a class mod or a shield. No, it's a rectifier. Oh, that's not very good. You get some blues and purples. We're still looking for a good artifact if we don't have one. We're only good using this purple snowdrift for now. Let's wait away for him to do his little thing. Like I said, this is still one of my favorite DLCs. I think it just has one of the cooler aesthetics, and I think some of the music is really good in some of the areas. I know, because like the one thing I never talked about, I don't know if I did talk about it, was the music in Borderlands. Because I think Borderlands 4 and like Wonderlands, the music isn't bad, but it's not as like, because like each area has its own unique, like the ambience, like own music. It has its own ambience, and then it has the combat music, and a lot of the music is kind of like a sleeper music, where if you like listen to it, like, well, that's actually really good. Because there was kind of a time where I would like go out of my way to listen to some of the music. Because I know like there's some music in some of these areas that have that kind of, that, you know, they're really, you would listen to them even on your own free time rather just in game. So I know a lot of people do like that. Some of the other DLCs have pretty good music too. I know like some of the like the base game stuff, I know they do. I think DLC 2 has some good stuff. DLC 3, I think DLC is probably the one where people don't like it. I know people don't like the combat music, and I think it's the blast fields or the blast plains, the big main hub area or the main like connector area, has that weird kind of like cello-y like I don't know, acoustic sound. I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean. It's that weird like music that a lot of people don't like. At first I didn't mind it, but it does get kind of annoying, especially if you're in that area for so long. You get kind of annoyed by it. But some of the other areas are pretty good too. I really like where Rampager's music is really good, like the final boss. Or not Rampager, Ruiner. Yeah, those two enemies with R. I got more of these mimics. I think it's this little area where they spawn a bunch of double mimics that can spawn. Yeah, there's a couple that kind of trap you, but they're not too difficult. Make sure we hit these two because we want to hit the little challenge for them. I think there's also another little reference missions to the Digby Vermoose mission. The game kind of referenced Digby Vermoose. Yeah, Digby Vermoose, who's kind of like this like celebrity or like a singer who kind of like went missing. Because he kind of like referenced him as like a little side character. Now you find out where he is. He's been stuck here on the handsome jackpot for so long, and now he's like, you have to go and do a mission for him, and you get like a little blue shield or grenade, not a shield, assault rifle that plays music. It's kind of like the I forget what I think it's the earworm, that like obscure like assault rifle that you can get. That was like a limited time where you can only kind of get it without by farming certain enemies. But I think you can still get it if you like trying to cheat it in. But if you're like legit want to get it, you can't. Because it was just like a slightly better dull assault rifle that would play like little riff music, kind of like what the Hal Walker does. But that was like its like gimmick. It was called the Earworm. So I remember it used to like drop for like a little hot minute, and then it kind of stopped, and then they kind of just let it exist. I think you can still get it. I don't know if you can get it from the gun or from the like the what's it called, the diamond chest, because the way it's a unique, and some of the uniques kind of qualify as like legendary, so you can get them like as like a drop instead of a legendary. But I'm not sure, because I remember it was like a thing. I do have a couple on console, but obviously I don't think I can get any on here without like cheating it in. I'm trying to like give it in, because I know like, but even then it's like not really worth your while compared to like some of the other like guns. In terms of like other like dull assault rifle, I think it's dull assault rifle. Maybe it was Vlad. I forget. It was like just a generic blue assault rifle. That's kind of like one of those obscure things. If you never knew about it, no one ever told you, you kind of wouldn't even realize it in the game. Because there are kind of like those whole bunch of like uniques and blues that are just kind of there in the game that you never really would go after, or maybe you just forget about. Because they're not really worth farming, or they're only worth like, if you're going to go 100% and do all the side missions, you can get them. Because I remember there was way back in like the very beginning of Borderlands, there was I think it was called the porcelain pipe bomb, which was I think it was a Torg or Vlad grenade that you could get from a side mission. And it was like broken, and you can like insta kill everything. And they had to actually like patch it out, and everyone got all mad because they're nerfing like this powerful grenade. Now I gotta go talk to these guys, but these guys are gonna kind of get loose. We got Grabby, Gretchen, and Moisten look, but they're gonna turn into enemies.
Excuse me. I must speak to this dancer for a moment.
And now we gotta talk to this one lady to kind of get the tea on where Ember is. Still got a couple more. What's it called? Guardian. Like I said, we still want to get the one for the aim down slates in the fight for life. That's like the big one. Because anything else is kind of like extra on top of it. We don't really need it now, but we mostly are going to need it when we get to max level or at the end game. So she's going to talk, and then she's going to tell us to go talk to one of the other, like, I guess, prostitutes or stripper characters that are in these little, like, viewing windows, we call them. You gotta go talk to Trent too. I think he's also voiced by the same guy who voices Handsome Jack. Because I don't know if the original voice actor who voices Jack, like in Borderlands 2 and pre-sequels, came back. Or I think it's like someone else. Because if you didn't really pay attention, you wouldn't even realize it's a different voice actor. Because I think this is his. I'm not sure who the actor was, what his name was called, because I never really liked like Handsome Jack's voice actor. But I don't think he returned, and I think they had someone else who kind of does like a impersonation, I guess, impression of him. It does kind of sound kind of indistinguishable if you didn't really pay attention. You can kind of hear it if you like when he says certain stuff. But I guess the kind of idea was that they wanted to give Timothy a different like voice to make him sound more of like himself. Because in the pre-sequel, Timothy had like kind of like a goofy, like nerdy voice, like that was kind of like very stereotypical. And then obviously he talks like Jack later on, when he becomes the doppelganger in the main story. Because they kind of like, I think they teased him like in the very beginning. So if you played the game and found those little like audio logs in Jack's office during the main story, you would like hear Timothy and hear him like being like turned into like talking to the doctor and like becoming like Jack basically. And like you hear like Nurse Nina was like a side nurse who also helped participate in that. It's like a fun little joke. But I guess maybe they wanted to change his voice up, or maybe the actor couldn't return because of scheduling conflict, which is kind of something that always happens, especially when you have like big name actors or certain actors who kind of become really popular or kind of start doing more roles instead of like these random obscure actors who are kind of like only really known for doing one voice, or like only voicing that one character and maybe like a couple like random background characters, or maybe they just wanted more money, or maybe because they didn't want to pay a fair wage, because that's sadly how it is with a lot of like voice actors and scheduling things. Or maybe like I said, that's always been something that's always been an issue in the gaming industry, especially with voice actors, since like even like movies and cartoons where a lot of them have like these big name actors and celebrities for, like voicing like the main characters, and then when they do like a sequel or like another like spin-off, it's like, or like a cartoon that goes straight to TV, it's like a completely different voice actor, because you're not going to pay like another couple $1 million to have big name celebrity of the time come and voice your character, and pay them a huge premium for like a TV show that pretty much costs that budget. Budget is basically that much how much you pay them. Because that's just how it is with like the voice actor industry.
Whence you came.
I guess I don't know, because I guess maybe there was like obviously some like big name celebrities who do voice acting obviously are really popular, or they do a good job. And some of them kind of like aren't very good, or they're only there because of their name, because like pull people in. Because I know a lot of like kids movies and like a lot of like those popular like obscure like movies that come out do that too. But then you get like a lot of like big voice actors who kind of become very popular, become like mainstream from like one or two big roles, and then they become like on the same level as a big name celebrity, or like being like a big voice actor. Like seeing them in other projects too is like pretty cool. So basically, she's telling us to come and blow up these missions with these little statues of Pretty Boy, which is like one of our little side, I guess, like crew of challenges basically. For later on, because that kind of becomes opened up.
Welcome to the neighborhood, pretty boy. Thank you, Sherry. Now, come to me.
I wondered.
When I started building on my money, because I only spent all of my money on SDUs, and now we're kind of low. But this, like I said, in this whole area, we get so much money. It's not that much of a big deal, especially now since we get so much from like just opening up anything with like a few thousand instead of a few hundred before. I don't, like I said, I guess if we see it, we can open. But even like selling this, we get like 86 and 47, 22 that's cheapest, and then 77. That's like a lot more. You can really like stack up if you sell enough stuff, since we have that like special like I guess auto sell feature where you can sell like greens and whites a lot easier. I think you can put out the blues and purples, but maybe we'll kind of keep that off. Maybe we'll add blue later on, but for now I think greens and whites are probably better to sell out quickly. I think here, like later on, one of the enemies for the mayor of Trashlantis, like his little target enemies to kill for his suits, spawns here, because usually there's nothing here. But once you come back around, you like have to kill them, and you kind of don't even realize it. Anything? 14. Bus. Yeah, that's like I said. You always get bust because you get too close, and then it's not really in your favor.
Hold back!
Vlad-off launcher. Like I said, we certainly didn't use too many launchers. We didn't use our kick charger, or I think we had a kick charger, but we never really used it. That's like the problem. I guess kind of like I said, in Borderlands 4, they kind of fixed it with ordnance, making launchers like kind of like a spell where they're on cooldown, and they don't basically have infinite ammo. And but you have to like wait for them, because that's another issue. Is the cooldown is kind of very finicky. And whenever you like do certain things, you have to put your launcher away, and then you pull out your other gun. And then it takes a long time to pull out your launcher. So you kind of, maybe it's better to use like grenades, because I know like obviously like the crit knife is so popular, like you would use that instead of like anything else. I think like some of the, I'm not sure, a lot of the legendary grenades aren't really like meta, like there's no real reason to really use them. Other than some of like the big launchers, like some of the Torg launchers are like really popular, especially for like Imma, or like the one like those big heavy Vlad-off like machine guns, or those types of guns are like still popular too. But like normal grenades aren't really useful. I think there's still some that are like good. Like there's like they're only like good for like niche build. Like I think like grenade rough, or maybe like grenade Amon, because like, or ordnance Amon, I guess. Because Amon is kind of like those two are like the main like grenade character, but I think Amon's more of a launcher character. And Raph is more of like a grenade throw and spam kind of character, because that's like one of his main gimmicks is like throwing out free grenades, or like using grenades basically. Yeah, a little bit more. I'm gonna actually need everyone's favorite character anyway. I think we could also get another unique shield. It's kind of like a variation of like the red seal, where it's like the Nova kind of like damage effect field around us, but it's fire. So I remember you would always like wait a bit to get this, but I guess now we'll kind of take it now. They give us a better shield because you would always want to farm the shield because it's actually a pretty good shield in general, especially with the AOE effect that it does. But yeah, she's gonna start blabbing and tell us about Timothy and how she kind of helped him, and then obviously she wants us to help her join our group, and then obviously we had to go get our shield from that impound lot. Impound lot. Let's see. We got more of this. I guess some fight for life duration.
But brave the task all alone, but now here you are. I suppose he told you I might lend my fiery arts to his cause?
That is correct. Will you aid us in this hunt?
Well, maybe I can. But not without my
Pardon me.
tools.
There was a ship and she is missing. Pretty boy's doing. Recompense for refusing to underwear Timothy. If you retrieve my tools, I will gladly lend a match to the kidling. First, we must locate my ship.
So now she's gonna tell us to go find out where her ship is, which obviously is in the impound lot, like I said. But I think we'll maybe we'll try out her other shield because it's gonna be on level, the Ember Blaze. So it does like damage around to nearby enemies, which is really powerful. But it can like shoot off grenades or like not grenades, the barrels and like the little other explosive stuff. Like if we stand here, I think it might. No, oh no, it doesn't. I thought it did because I know in Borderlands 4, I forget what it is, but I think some of the skills you can do that where if you walk up to certain like explosives or barrels, it will like break them because of like shields or like your like kind of area effect, like a damaging aura that you have around you. I've only really seen it on what's it called, Harlow. I don't know if other characters can have it, but I think maybe it's just Harlow or something like a skill she has that kind of gives her that effect.
Well, at least she can still.
Alright, I gotta go get that ticket. I gotta go back.
Dangerous place, Sherry. But what would our journeys be if we stayed where it was safe, no?
Yeah, I gotta grab the little ticket. Give it to me.
My ship is in the impound lot.
Yeah, over here is where Dick Vermoose is, so we can come do. Maybe we'll do his. I'll do his mission later on, but yeah, we can come do his mission. He gives you like another like unique assault rifle. That's kind of like a version of the earworm.
This casino has always been a trap, then and now.
Maybe he does give you the earworm. I don't know. Cause like I said, the earworm was like a unique gun that you could only get for like a short time, and it's like kind of like lost now. If you want to get one, you have to like kind of cheat one in, or like other farmer get it like from like have it in your inventory from like before, or someone gives it to you.
An indebted man will do things, but not so capable.
Your weakness is no.
Oh, man. Like I said, we get so many greens on. Usually you don't get that many greens. But I guess we're not getting too many purples either, or blues either, really. Now we gotta go to the impound. But I guess we got to go the main way like this, instead of just teleporting. Because the impound is another like time-consuming area that takes a lot of stuff to get through. But I think we'll probably get to the halfway point. Maybe once we get to like the main like underground area, once we like break in.
Get off my trap.
Yeah, like Jack starts talking to you. He gives you like little quips about you. About us being poor, or being vault hunters, or being. Yeah, he starts saying stuff to us.
Ready for a fight?
More greens? I won't take them. I do like the kind of new loader enemies, like some of the other enemies. Like they don't have the what's like the power loaders or like the I forget what the shield ones were. The ones that do like the reflect. Those ones were really annoying. Or like the angelic ones that were like the ones that didn't have like the weak points that you could break off, kind of like because that was like the gimmick where you could like shoot off their arms and legs and cripple them. But those ones had like enhanced like weak points, so they couldn't do that to them. And then there's like the riot ones, the various RPG ones, and then you have like the cryo one. Oh yeah, look. Usually those little like Wii loaders or the PP loaders, they drop some stuff too. Like the exploder loaders, they're not that difficult. I know because the ones here, they're really annoying. They go like kill you instantly, but now it takes so long to blow up and they're not as tanky. We get a bearcat. Is that a bearcat? I mean, we could try it out. The bearcat's not too bad. I know some people don't like it because of its firing pattern, but it's really, I think it's, like I said, it's only really good on Moe's. Maybe on Mara, if you use like Amara and with like more element to it, you kind of use it with phase grasp, where you kind of lock the enemies in and kind of keep them in place. You can like kind of like spam all the bullets on them. Let's see. Well, we still have this. Yeah, like I said, there's the Ember thing. I guess we can kind of get it because doing this is kind of annoying. It's you gotta like parkour just right and grab everything just right. If you're not like careful. So you jump here, jump here, and then oops, I just fell. Yeah, sometimes you like fall and you gotta like jump and grab. There we go. Sometimes it's a really annoying jump to do. Most of the other ones are pretty easy to get. You do have this lob. You haven't even touched the lob.
Bravo, Shari, bravo! All things wish to burn in their hearts. All we must do is give them the chance.
You there. How are your last breaths?
Oops, we missed. I tried the Bearcat really quick. Let's just show it out. I don't think we showed off the Bearcat. Maybe we did get one, or maybe I didn't need it. But then, like, it's not so bad if you can like land all the pellets. Like, it shoots out like these so many grenades. They all kind of just jump around. But I know like with modes and like with the core cross promotion, you can like really increase like the splash damage and the area effect. You can like really like kill a lot of enemies because some guns really need it, especially a lot of these like other alternate splash guns. They're like kind of added, kind of like what's it, the lead sprinkler. That's like another one where it shoots out these little splash like droplet projectiles. But you need like area, you need like damage or area effect or splash damage, like increase radius to make it more powerful. Because then normally you're just using it as like a normal gun, or the enemies kind of they kind of just barely hit the enemy, especially for smaller enemies. But like a lot of big enemies, you can like kill them and they kind of like, is able to like hurt them from it. And now we're here in the Impound lot. We're probably gonna, like I said, get to the maybe halfway point, and then maybe we'll take a pause. I don't know if we can maybe get through all of it. Well, I guess we can do all of it then. We're not in a hurry.
Even the impound lot was a part of
See
Jack's
what we have
history.
here. Another grenade. Epicenter.
Put in this place where you couldn't win it all, or lose it all. Once I get
Well, maybe we'll take it for now.
I'll clean this place up.
Yeah, Pretty Boy's blabbing up, basically telling us about Jack's like predatory plans and what he was doing behind the scenes, and how he wants to take it over. Sell all this other junk. Sell this rectifier. We don't even want to look at it. So we keep our other class mods. We still need a better, like I said, better artifact. That's our main focus.
Painted fountains, statue or two of yours truly. You'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Luckily, that's not gonna happen. Oh wait, I gotta. Actually, I think we want to do this real quick because this is gonna attack aggro these other guys up here. Because there's like the neutral, all these neutral bots that don't attack you. But if you have the Ember's like Ember's shield on you, it actually like damages them and it hurts them, and they start attacking you. But you don't want to attack them right now. It's basically tell us that we gotta get all the forms. We gotta do all this little annoying little sequence of like the bureaucracy of like filling out forms and going to the the DMV, which everyone loves to do, or going to like some type of like anything like that, or going to like a bank or anything like that, trying to fill out a form or get a paperwork. I think it gives us a thing. We're gonna grab something from someone else.
I doubt very much they will let you recover my ship. But I suppose there are some things fire cannot solve.
I think it gives us something. Or we gotta go talk to him. No, we guess we go talk to him and he hands us a little card. So we gotta go over here, talk to this guy. He basically tells us we gotta go to the other thing. So he's gonna want us to come over here. But if you press the pay more, he comes a little faster. Because normally it takes a sweet time to get over here. But it's not too much. We might as well pay. We can afford to. So he's gonna give us this form, but we're gonna say, oh, you need another form. Yeah, I know. Give it to me. So now we gotta go put this in, and they tell us, nope, we have the wrong form. We need like an updated form. Yep. Yeah, I know.
This is most infuriating.
Alright, now we go talk to the homeboy. We could actually shoot them, but I think if we don't, we kind of just get a little... I guess maybe it tells us to shoot them or not to. So we pay.
There's a reason the house always wins.
So we start shooting them, and then we get it for free, basically. But then all the bots will attack us.
You gotta act VIP to be VIP.
But we get a little bonus for doing it.
You'll ruin the taste.
Alright. big pistols kind of struggle against these badass. These are loud.
Run! Run, you weakling!
Make sure you get the more stuff. Watch out for these grenades. Okay, grab that. I think there's also another little thing over here. There's also this one side quest. It's like a little reference, but we're not going to worry about side missions right now. I think it does give us, actually gives us a unique Torg assault rifle that I never really kind of used because I never really did that mission. So I remember like seeing it, like, wait a minute, what the heck is that gun? And I'm like, oh, you get it from doing this mission. Oh, we got a boring gun, which the boring gun's not very good. It's another one of those like annoying Torg assault rifles. It's not very. It might be better now, but or like not better to use right now at this very moment. But at max level and Mayhem 11, there's no reason to really use it because it has like a very finicky firing pattern, and even then it doesn't do that much damage. So now we gotta put this in here. Press that real quick.
Jack here. Okay, yes, I probably impounded your ship. But that's what you get for being a deadbeat. Better keep spending, though. Who knows?
He's right, we gotta keep spending. We're already invested so much money. You just gotta rub the screen and tap the screen on the side and look away and not pay attention, and maybe you'll get your jackpot. You know, if you know those little kind of like, I guess, little ref things that people do when they gamble. You've seen like those videos of like old people gambling away and they like rub the screen and start tapping and like freaking out, like talking to the machine, think they're gonna get their like bonus, but they obviously realize that these like slot machines aren't what they were back in the day. Like they're literally programmed to not like, they're literally just giant computers that are like programmed to like only pay out at a certain time, and even then it's like the house can like kind of rig them in their favor, which is like kind of like how it is. But a lot of people like to gamble.
Like I said,
Like I know people in my family who like to gamble. I try to stay away from gambling, but
they're using their number.
I don't want to deal with that, especially like especially now that like everything is about gambling and like doing slots. Like there's so much of it now. Like I'm sure you've seen all those videos of people talk about like how gambling has like infected everything. It's like it's one thing to go to a casino and sit at a slot machine or play cards or play at like the various game tables, but now it's another thing to do it from your phone and have it be there really easily, or play it in like a video game that's like pseudo gambling, or like rise of like the gacha games. Where like you have a chance of getting something. Because I remember like loot boxes were like the big thing. Everyone would go. I remember watching like certain games like Call of Duty, Overwatch, and like I think some of those like even Apex Legends, watching like the streamer spends $1,000 on loot boxes or on opening packs or opening stuff like that. You know, it's something that's like still exists, but it's obviously kind of gone away now to the point where, you know, even local governments are trying to stop it or just made it illegal in certain places. And now you kind of replace it with like in-game currencies and other stuff. I mean, it still kind of exists, but not to like the same degree as predatory as it was before. But you know, like some games still kind of do it, and some of them will get away with it. But it's one thing to go to the casino or go to like a big casino and gamble away, because gambling is obviously a very like dangerous thing, and I'm sure everyone has a family member or knows someone who maybe gambles a little too much and or has now dipped their hand in like this kind of new form of gambling with like sports betting or online gambling or like those crypto like gambling sites, because you know like those have become a hot button issue even for like really young people, because you know that's what young people do. Like who wants to go sit in a slot machine with a bunch of wrinkly old people when you can do it from your apartment, that you pay overpriced apartment in like the big city, and spend all your money on some crypto website that's obviously even more sleazier than what the casinos are doing. Sadly, we can't pay it. I'm curious if, I guess the game doesn't have a visual cap, but I think maybe you could get over that much money, or if you cheated in, would the game kind of accept it? Yeah, we just go through here. Yeah, it's basically you gotta go through here. But I mean, like I said, if you could like cheat the system or give yourself a bunch of money, could you like technically pay it off, or is it like just like a thing that's like only like on like a basically it's like shows you like, hey, you pay this much, but you're not really supposed to, even if you had that much money in game, because the game always have like a visual cap. But I think there's also you can go beyond the visual cap of money. That's always like a thing where some. Well, I guess I don't know if in Borderlands 2 it was like where once you got money cap, you kind of were stuck at money cap, and that was it. 'Cause I know in this, like once you get the cap, like visual money cap, you can still get more money. And the game kind of like will show you when you buy stuff or like when you spend or when you like upgrade something. It will show you like how much money you have. This area always gets me confused. I think you have to like jump down here and like run through all these little sequences. This is one of the more like annoying areas to go through. So let me just look at the map real quick. So we gotta get to here, and then this is like the halfway point. It's like around here, and then halfway point. And then you go through all the jumping and all on the platforms, and then you meet a Freddy, who's gonna be our next main like character who joins our little like heist team. And he's like obsession with his little robots because he's like a programmer or like an engineer. He's kind of been like, stuck in here with his robots and they're his only friends. Because everyone else is like a crazed like killer, like bandit, psycho, or like I guess gang member. I don't know. I guess because it's never like implied. Like you assume that all of these people you're killing are basically just employees and like normal everyday people who kind of came to the casino and got stuck here and now have like formed their own little like gangs and militias with it to like survive and like are under the like the doing of like Pretty Boy. You can obviously meet characters that are like that. And then you have like the Trash Atlantis people who are like their own like who kind of broke away and like, hey, we don't want anything to do with all your money and greed because we're anti-capitalist and anti that and we want to live in this is like basically a giant trash compactor. Because that's what happens to people when you're like stuck in this place and for so long and you kind of have to accept where you are. And now we gotta go through here. We gotta do all this other parkouring.
Okay, listen to this. Pretty boy, that a-hole just raised the
I
price
think
on
if
my
you
hand to
if you
$5
jump
million
here
freaking dollars.
and then you can like kind of jump and you can climb up there and get the chest.
Is gonna be out hunting for me, so I was in the crowd.
There you go. Because normally you have to go through all that and jump around.
The breaststroke in the diarrhea defense. So you know I'm just.
And get stuck. We gotta fall down because we can't fall through there.
It really sucks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Have faith, Shari. You're not alone anymore. We will burn Pretty Boy's organization.
Alright, now we're here in this little airlock.
You know, faith sounds nice, but my money's on things continuing to be, you know, super crappy.
The impound lot awaits. But be on
Sadly,
your
there's no
guard.
vendors right here. The only other vendors I think are. I don't even think there are any vendor machines here because I remember there was a time when they like patched in some vending machines, like in the certain areas that didn't have them. Alright, I'm gonna take a quick break and I'll be right back in 1 second, guys. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I take a quick break and pause the game for a second. Now we're back. We're probably gonna. I guess we'll try to speed through this area because this area can take a little bit of a long time to get through. But we are pretty powerful, so we shouldn't have to worry too much. Like I said, we're killing all these enemies, and we do get a legendary. Like I said, this game, the legendaries are a lot more common, especially the class mods and some of the. You get the the Golden Road guy. That's another good one. Or I don't think it's like the best class mod of Amara's, but it's a decent one for early on. You kind of come in here and do it. Because I know some of her other like base game ones, aside from was it like the. I think it's the Breaker, which is like her melee one. There's the what's it called? I think it's the Driver and the Driver's. I think the Driver's like the one that's the main exclusive. I forget what the other ones are. The Phase Zerker or something like that. Those are like her like 3 big ones, and then I think some of her other DLC ones like the Kensei, the Muse, and I think she has. I forget. Oh, no, the Stone isn't very good. I guess the Stone's not that bad, but it's like another really niche one. I think she has another one in DLC or than the. I think it's like the Blessing or something like that, like the Eternal Blessing or something like that. It's like her Purple Tree class mod. Her Purple Tree class mod from Arms Race, which I never really used. I know that one's another kind of like another niche one. But like, I think the Phase Zerker and the Breaker and like the Driver were like her 2 big ones. I think the Driver was the one that where you like you like put yourself element on yourself or deal damage to yourself, and then you like, get increased movement speed and damage, and the more you kind of maintain it, you can like do more damage. The Breaker was another good one because that was like her like first melee class mount since they boosted one of her like melee capstones or game changers. So you would use that for a minute, and that was like really good to pair with like the face puncher, her like kind of like face puncher melee, like that kind of like her green tree setup, which is like her melee tree. And you would combine that with like the face puncher and like what was it, the fracture or yeah, fracture I think it was the one where you like do like the big like where she like shoots out like the multiple fish and like the elemental pool like area effect because like that was like her like slammy tree. And so her other one was the I forget what it's called, the one that where she does like the jump in the air and it's just like a laser like beam attack down and then she does her slam. But then the other one was the fracture. It was like a big area effect, kind of like a variation of like phase cast, and I was like, well, you would use that instead of her default slam because her slam was kind of very finicky and you could do a lot more damage and with fracture. I think it was called fracture. I didn't even know what it's called because that was the one I always used. Or you would use that, or you would use ties that bind, which was her phase grab, kind of main skill tree in that, or main like active skill on that kind of side of her tree. I think if we go over there, there's like another little hidden area we can find some, open a bunch of like a VIP room, but we'll kind of skip it for now. There's nothing too crazy here. I think, yeah, there's also that, another legendary, maybe from their classmate. Hopefully get a better stack box. When we say no to that. I forget what skills the stack box boosts. Maybe want to look out for that. Yeah, we got nothing. Well, I guess was it the 2 on that and 3 on the 1 skill. Let's see what it was. It was this skill, Hunter's Eye. Hunter's Eye isn't too bad. We're mostly fighting humans and robots. And I think the other one was a blue tree skill. Oh, was this one? Pack Tactics, which isn't too bad. I mean, but I think ours has a little bit better stats. But we also got +2 into that other skill. And weapon damage, so maybe this one is better for us. In terms of just raw damage and raw utility. I forget how to get up there, we just gotta like parkour our way up. I know you come over here and jump. You can like jump up here, and then there's obviously one of these little statues to blow up. I know when you blow up they turn like, it gets like burnt. See, like instead of just destroying the statue, it gets like caught on fire and it gets burnt. Kinda looks like Two-Face. It's like a little funny thing, because you think it would just like blow the statue up or maybe something, like as like a little visual gag. But I guess that's like another little, I guess that instead is the visual gag instead of him like becoming like a pile of rubble with a statue. I think here we're about to meet our good friend Freddy and fight one of our first constructors. Constructors aren't too difficult. I remember like like I said, Borderlands 2, constructors were really difficult, especially like the big badass ones. But if you knew what you were doing, you could like kind of cheese them, because their main attack was like their like big rocket attack, where they shoot like a big missile or big rocket out that kind of homes in on you. Or they would like do like a beam attack or like a little like ground slam, something like that. And then they would like, spawn a bunch of enemies and little turrets that would seek you out. So, like if you have a like setup, you could like insta kill them. Especially with like Boar, because I know with the Boar you could like insta kill them because they had like their under guns that they would like you could like shoot through, and like, you would deal more. You could like use Boar to basically cheese them, kind of like with Bunker.
There's the ship, but Pretty Boy doesn't intend to enter over with us.
Yeah, we got a big loader here. I think this loader can drop legendary. He did drop a couple legendaries for me. But yeah, he's not too difficult. And then we need Freddy, of course.
That's a lot of dead bots. Pretty Boy's not gonna like this.
Pardon me, sorry.
What's up? No problem. I'll fix him up and reprogram him. But what were you thinking? I know they tried to kill you and all, but it is what they were designed to do. Can't blame them for trying. What are you doing here, Penny?
I need something from that ship. Also, your clothing is disorienting.
I know, great, right? About that ship. Pretty Boy locked them all there.
Anything here?
Uses them as
Nothing.
leverage. But I'm like super great, so
Yeah, he's gonna tell us about what he can do.
And free your ship.
If you help me out. No larboard bruisers,
So now I gotta help Freddy and get his loader buddy. Hopefully Freddy doesn't betray us or anything or do anything crazy like that. And I hope that doesn't happen. That would be pretty outlandish or pretty crazy or quite a twist if that were to happen. But I don't think that will happen. Freddy doesn't seem like that kind of character who would betray us and then become like another unofficial boss fight on our way to defeat Pretty Boy. But that seems a bit outlandish. They would never do that.
I'm talking the lockdown. It's dead, lights out, total chaos, people flip, rip each other
Anything
apart
over
trying to
here?
escape.
Nothing.
But my loader buds, they helped me survive. 7 years. Long time. Glad I had those bots to talk to. Otherwise, I'd be freaking crazy. Bots are way better than people. Never trust a human. Humans are garbage. Bots, though, loyal. Because I program them that way.
Hope he's not foreshadowing anything like that.
Freddy fixes them.
Let's see what else. But now we don't want to.
A good hunt.
Well, I guess we got to keep using our carrier.
Hell,
Well, I guess speaking of the Game Awards, I think we talk about. I guess the other thing I didn't reference that they showed off was a Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th Resident Evil, which it looks pretty cool. Obviously, I've seen a lot of people talk about was it Leon returning and how everyone kind of has like a crush on Leon, and now he's kind of become like this like weird like goofy character. Like, cause like before like Leon wasn't like I guess he was a popular character, but now I guess with like the remakes of like Resident Evil 2 and 3 and like obviously Resident Evil 4 like becoming so popular now, Leon has kind of become like another like mainstream like more popular than he was before, because he was kind of like I guess in the old games he was kind of more like a generic like police officer character or like kind of like everyman who was, but then like in Resident Evil 4 he kind of became more of like the badass super soldier character with like wacky quips, and his like was there like obviously his relationship with like Ada and I think it's like Ashley, the like president's daughter, and like their dynamic with like it kind of made him more of a goofy character. 'Cause I think like in Resident Evil, I think he was in Resident Evil 6 and maybe another one like one of those like weird like spin-off ones that they made. Like he became more popular, but I think it was Resident Evil 2 remake and then Resident Evil 4 remake, which kind of like made him more of a lovable character, especially with the ladies. And I'm sure there's a lot of like videos of like women like freaking out or getting really excited for Leon, because I guess maybe there were some like girls or young women who were kind of like that, who kind of had a crush on like old school Leon from like back in like Resident Evil 2 and like his little Resident Evil 4 and his kind of early version. I guess now like you have like a lot of women who kind of never even knew who Leon really was, and they kind of fall in love with him with like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4, all the remakes, and now seeing him kind of be like an old man returning and kind of being like the other like side character to the main story. But alongside like was it Grace, who's kind of more of like the I guess not damsel in distress, but she's more of like the normal human character who's kind of like has to like struggle and hide and like use like a lot more like finesse to like get around and like survive in this dangerous world, while Leon's like gonna be sitting there with like a big giant gun and a chainsaw doing wacky quips as he like saves the day and like comes out and does all this crazy stuff. Because they kind of, I guess with like, cause obviously with like Resident Evil 7 and like 8, which was like the kind of them rebranding or like the new, I guess like popularity of Resident Evil. 'Cause 7 and 8 were like, I guess 7 was like kind of them trying to doing something different and taking inspiration from like the new wave of like the first person like slow methodical like survival horror games, kind of like a Amnesia and like was it Outlast, that kind of game, and a lot of other like indie games that kind of became popular, and then kind of taking that trope and like obviously with Ethan being like the new main character, which a lot of people kind of did like Ethan because he was kind of like another generic everyman, but they obviously kind of like I guess redeemed him with 8, even though 8 had a very goofy story. I think they did a good job of redeeming him and kind of closing his chapter so they can kind of open up the other chapter and bring back a lot of the returning characters. And I guess maybe I don't know what they're gonna do with Chris, because I guess Chris is still like another character that people kind of have like a love-hate relationship with, because he's always kind of been like a goofy like soldier character, like musclehead, and then he kind of became more of like the grizzled like veteran character, having to like go and deal with this and be like basically be like the hero and like help Leon, or not Leon, help Ethan and help like save the day, and because like once you like play as him in like Resident Evil 7 or not 7, 8, he's more of like the action like FPS version of like Resident Evil instead of like the more survival like horror like version that I guess Ethan kind of filled. I guess maybe they're going to do that with Leon too, with Resident Evil 7 or 9 now, which it's crazy to think that I guess there's more than 9 Resident Evil games, but like that's like the main numbered series. To see them like go from like 7 was already a big crazy number, and then 8, now we're at 9, and who knows, maybe we'll get Resident Evil 10 or I guess Resident Evil X or something like that, because I guess they kind of are doing like the number in the name, kind of with like what they did with like Biohazard and like Village, with like the Roman numerals. So I guess X would be the next one. I'm not sure what they would call it. Maybe, I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what they're going to take the Resident Evil story, because I think Resident Evil 8 kind of was like kind of setting it up like kind of like how Resident Evil, I think it was like not Wesker, was it Spencer, like the main like founder of Red Umbrella, and figured out his stuff through like the Mutomyces and like Miranda, and how like Miranda helped like pave the way for that, and kind of indirectly led to all of the events of Resident Evil, or like that kind of the early Resident Evils of like Umbrella affecting just basically creating the first virus, and like all of the other experiments that happened behind the scenes. You know, I'm not sure where they're gonna take it, because there's obviously setting up some type of like the like main villain is like this other like this like I guess ex-employee or person who worked for Umbrella, who's now like on his way to like achieve immortality or become a biological weapon.
My spider rat is found.
He's like, we obviously see him, he looks like infected and disheveled. He's like creepy looking. Like, I forget what his name is, but something like Victor something. And then it's obviously you and I guess Grace, or Leon and Grace, going and trying to stop him or trying to tie up loose ends or something, because I guess I don't really know where the story was. I remember with 7 and 8 had very ambiguous stories where you didn't really know where they were going to take it or who the characters were, because obviously it was with Ethan, and you weren't even sure if like any of the original characters from the past were even going to return or have a big role, or how this ties into Umbrella or the viruses that they've kind of made over the years. But I don't know, because I guess like it's implied that like what's her face, Grace is like the daughter of like a side character from one of the other like side games, the Resistance or something, Outbreak, or one of the other like weird side games, and unless you're like a hardcore fan, you probably never played. I'm sure there's like a lot of people who kind of, I guess maybe that was kind of me, who kind of came in, who kind of like I didn't say I grew up with like the old games, but I remember seeing them, and I wasn't a fan of like the over the shoulder like weird like tank controls, like fixed camera angles, and a lot of the older games, and like seeing like gameplay of like Resident Evil 4, 5, and like 6, and kind of being like, eh. But I think 7 was kind of like the first one. That's like, okay, maybe this is a little better. And I think 7 really kind of opened people up to like the Resident Evil like franchise, because it was such a different game compared to like 6 and like 5 and like the other like other spin-off games that came out at around the time. And then 8 was like, everyone loved 8 because of Lady Dimitrescu, or however you say her name, because she was like became like a kind of like a meme, or like everyone's favorite like love interest, even though she only has like a small part in the main story, to the point where like the voice actress who voices her is like doing all this promotional stuff, which I mean, good for her, because you think you just get a job doing this one little obscure character, and who's only in like the first act, and then obviously dies and doesn't have a big role later on, and then obviously being like a major like voice or like a sales rep for like Capcom and like other Capcom projects, and being able to go and like speak at conventions and stuff. I mean, like, I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the story. I guess the story is gonna be, like I said, like evil, like alternate, Umbrella employee creates another like virus, needs a cure or something for like immortality, or to like become like this superhuman, and then obviously it ends with Grace trying to learn about what happened to her mom, because her mom who got killed. Or and then Leon obviously coming and being like, one last mission, just for a good luck measure. Because I don't know if they're gonna like kill Leon, because I mean maybe they would. I'm missing because people assume that they would kill maybe Chris later on in the Resident Evil 8, but he obviously didn't die. But who knows? Maybe they're gonna have them reunite. Like at the end, it's like Leon and it's Chris and Claire and all of them. Because I know like all those characters now have become like a lot more popular now, especially Leon. So who really knows? Because I mean, like I said, like Resident Evil is like such a like it's like I think now, like I said, it's like in a more of a golden age or like a more hype version because there was obviously a time when no one really cared about the franchise, especially with like six being so divisive and a lot of like the weird spin-offs. But now with like Resident Evil 4 remake being so popular, and 7 and 8, and also Resident Evil 2 and 3 also being popular, and now it's like anything they can do, people are gonna definitely jump on it and check it out. But who knows? Because I mean, like I said, like Resident Evil is always, like I guess maybe now like there isn't that big of like the next big horror game. I guess I'm not sure what the next big what the other I guess horror game is. I guess that whatever that like Kojima game that he was making or some other like thing too. Cause like horror, I think now it's kind of like I guess because there was a time when like those like I said like the Outlast, the Amnesia, those types of like indie like horror games are still popular. Like I'm sure they're still popular. Like every once in a while you kind of see like those like popular like indie horror games that like the walking simulator or like the survival games that kind of blow up and become popular. Some of them are kind of like predatory or made by like sketchy people with like AI or like asset flips. But like there's some that are actually like made by like a team of people who like want to like actually make a fun game. Something like the kind of FNAF now, where Five Nights at Freddy's becoming so popular. And you had games like Poppy's Playtime or like that Guardian of Bam Bam, which obviously kind of played into the mascot horror genre that's like become a thing in the last decade. Coming out, especially with like Five Nights at Freddy's. And now Five Nights at Freddy's has become like even more mainstream than it was back in like the olden days of Markiplier and like all of those Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie and all those other and like Game Theory making videos about it and constantly talking about it. Because I know the movie came out, but I didn't see the FNAF movie because it wasn't very. I guess I never saw the first one. I only seen like clips of it. But it's not something I really want to like jump into, like go and see. But who knows? Because like I said, horror has always been like a weird franchise. Some of them, obviously, you get like those once in a blue moon like big name. Not Sanctuary. Let's see. Pardon me. You want to go to Jack's place or Timothy's place. But like I was saying, like like there always once in a while there's that big game that comes out and like kind of blows everyone's mind because it's it's so good, like the scariest game, and some of them are kind of like just trying to like play father into like the influencer slash YouTuber like sphere of like a popular game that like gets people to like play. It kind of reminds you of like what's it, Hello Neighbor, trying to like get like MatPat and Game Theory and all that to like play them and find out the lore of this interesting game. And and then you have like a game like Hello Neighbor, which they made like another sequel, and no one really cares about it because it was never really a good game. It was a game just trying to take advantage of like the industry or the new kind of genre that was being formed of like the I guess mascot horror or like the kind of like escape room horror games where you're like trapped in a house and you have to escape from like an evil monster or like an enemy that has like bound to like you make too much noise, they come and chase you, or survival, because there's all kind of those kind of games.
Human mating rituals confound me,
but who really knows? I mean, like now, like I said, because like I said, like that's always been like a popular genre, like, but now I think people kind of have moved away from those types of games, especially now, like moved away, because I guess those types of like content isn't as mainstream as it was before, because like there really was like a kind of like a once in a little blip in like the YouTube scene or content creator scene of like games, but maybe one will come out and everyone will love it, or it will become as like iconic as like Five Nights at Freddy's, or maybe it will kind of be artificially made that way because the developers want to like sell like merchandise or NFTs or shirts to people, or sell stuff in like Hot Topic to like little kids and or like edgy teenagers who are like obsessed with obsessed with those types of games like Five Nights at Freddy's, like I guess Poppy's Playtime, was it Bendy's in the Ink Machine, and like Slender and like another. I'm sure there's other ones I can't think of off the top of my head, but those types of games. But who knows? Like I said, I remember I was kind of into Five Nights at Freddy's. That was like the one I liked, but I never was like hardcore into it. But I did watch like people Let's Plays and got excited when like the new one got announced, or like when the new games got announced. But after a while, when they kind of became more like, I guess, more self-aware and more cynical, like those kind of like more alternate versions of like the games that are more like, they kind of play into like the trope of what the game had become, rather than it being more of like this mysterious like horror game that was like a very simple premise that wasn't like trying to take itself too seriously. But yeah. I don't know. That was another little rant. We go from that to from Resident Evil, but you know, I guess Resident Evil was paved the way for games like Five Nights at Freddy's, and now Resident Evil was impacted by these kind of like new age indie games, and now it's kind of launched a new renaissance for them, and who knows what's gonna like impact the genre or the I guess the scene now that you know there is a lot more new people making games, and you know the industry is I think waiting for the next big game to come out, and I'm sure there's a lot of indie developers who whether they kind of artificially want to push that or try and make a game that sells merchandise like I said, but yeah, that's kind of just another little rant we have. But I think we're gonna take a break here. We're obviously gonna go to Transatlantis and do all that stuff in the next part. So if you like this part, be sure to check out all the other parts like the video, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.